Good afternoon, and thanks for stopping by Across the Fence. I'm Keith Silva. August is National Wellness Month. Hopefully you're taking care of your physical and mental health all year round, and a designation like this only serves as a reminder to take a minute and focus on, well, you. There's nothing selfish about self-care. Whether it's taking a walk instead of watching TV, putting your phone down and being present with the world around you, or meeting up with friends for a meal or an activity. Physical, mental, and social awareness require effort. It works if you work it. You may have seen or heard reports in the news about what's being called the silent crisis in men's mental health. Doctors and counselors agree that depression in men is grossly underdiagnosed, which contributes to a horrifying statistic that men are 4 times more likely than women to commit suicide at any age, especially in rural areas. In 2024, I spoke with Denise Daly. She's a clinical social worker and the co-owner of the Heinsberg Counseling Collaborative. She was here to talk about mental health, and I began by asking her if there's still a stigma around talking to someone.
I think there's 2 parts to this. There is more and more people seeking counseling and support, which is wonderful. We see record numbers coming into our practices all the time. And there's still a lot of stigma. People still feel like they should be able to get through things on their own, or they're embarrassed about seeking help. So there's a lot of work that we still need to do about normalizing taking care of our mental well-being the same way that we might take care of our bodies.
When should someone see someone?
It's a very individual question to each person. It could be different. I'm going to talk about my own philosophy or thoughts about it. And what I think about is if something that you're struggling with is getting in the way of your everyday life, the way that you connect with your loved ones, or ability to go to work or enjoy the things that you used to enjoy or used to want to participate in, if it's getting in the way, then that might be a signal that it would be a good time to reach out to somebody.
If you broke your leg, you'd go to a doctor. This is what I hear counselors say, therapists say a lot. If you broke your leg, you'd go to a doctor. Mental health counseling and therapy is similar, right? If something is wrong, like you were just talking about, you're not finding joy, you're not enjoying yourself anymore, that is the equivalent of the broken leg. Am I in the right ballpark?
I think you're in the right ballpark. I like to think about it in the terms of if you had a common cold and you tried all the ththe at home to feel better. You were getting more rest, you were drinking more water, having some chicken noodle soup, and that stopped working and you're doing all those good things and you started to feel a little bit sicker, you would probably go see your doctor. It's the same thing with our mental health. If we are trying all the things and trying to feel better and those things might not be working as well as we like, then it's a good opportunity to reach out to somebody.
To prolong my protracted broken leg analogy, is therapy and counseling for life? It was a broken leg, the bone would mend, you wouldn't have to keep going to the doctor for the broken leg. So is counseling and therapy for life, or is it more on a need basis?
It's a need basis. Everybody's different. I could have somebody come in to the practice that has a really specific goal, and 4 sessions in, they're like, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think we got there. And other times we'll have somebody come in and there's lots of layers, and that could take months and that could take years. So it's really based on what your goals are and what your needs are.
Person to person, everything.
Person to person.
Yep. Case
we'll
by
talk
case.
about that a lot.
I think we've made it clear that mental health is health. You have a social work designation. How does that differ from a mental health counselor?
So we all just have different trainings and backgrounds. A licensed clinical social worker does very similar work to a licensed clinical mental health clinician. And, but it varies a little bit from, say, a psychiatrist or another person offering supports. So everybody has a different training, but we're all doing very similar work. The biggest thing I would say is somebody like a psychiatrist, they are a doctor, they've gone to medical school, and they can prescribe medication in a different way than I cannot do that.
It's like you're anticipating my next question. It's like you've seen them ahead of time. Psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist all used synonymously, interchangeably, but there are differences. You just said a psychiatrist has a medical degree and can prescribe medication.
Right.
A psychologist, fill in the blank.
Psychologist here in Vermont can practice with a master's degree, but often they need a PhD.
Okay.
And so just different schooling and required schooling to offer mental health therapy.
Okay, and a therapist.
And a therapist. Well, that's just a big, broad term for providing, mental health counseling.
Okay. One of the things is we're talking about all this like it's easy, not the going through therapy is easy or difficult or whatever, it all depends. There's still a shortage, and if someone was watching the program and said, okay, this is it, I'm gonna call someone, there's still a shortage, and much like a doctor, you may not get in right away, so don't get discouraged, but it just is a reality of what's going on right now.
Exactly. I think we are hoping that more and more people will go into the field and that we'll have more counselors available, and we can fill in some of those gaps. But there are wait lists at a lot of places. Keep calling, keep trying, keep putting yourself on a wait list. And if there's an emergency, much like that broken leg, then there are crisis supports that are immediately available. Each county has a 24/7 crisis support line.
Right. Suicidal, something like that, that's a crisis.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you feel like you need immediate need, there are people out there that can support
do that.
Absolutely.
I think with mental health and therapy, I think it's also a age thing or a generational thing. Do you find younger people are more willing to sort of take a moment to take time to think about mental wellness better than, an old guy like me?
I think that what we're seeing is that it's been normalized for the younger generation in a way that it hasn't been for, say, us. And we've paved the way. Like we are making it more normal. But it's taught in schools now. There's social emotional learning. There's social media, for good or bad, but they talk about mental health a lot. And so it's just something that they think is part of the regular supports that they would get.
Right. What can we, I noticed that you did put yourself in my
I
category.
I did.
What can we learn from this younger generation when it comes to mental wellness?
That we should reach out, that we have the people around us that can support us, and that we should be able to do that in the same way, that we think about it as we're treating our whole person.
Right. I think we're talking a little bit about empathy here, and the other part, and I just heard you say support. What does support take for someone who goes to see a therapist or sees a counselor or whatever practice? What's the role of the other people in their life? Is it to be empathetic, like, oh, good for Keith, he's going to therapy now? Or is it, Keith, you need a ride to therapy? Is there a difference between being empathetic and being supportive?
There is. And they're also, I think, really important to have both of those things together. Empathy is really about being able to sit and listen and really be with somebody so that they're feeling understood and heard. And in some ways, sometimes we try to put ourselves in their own shoes and in their shoes and ask questions and be curious about what's going on. Support is helping them get a ride if they need to go to therapy, and kind of the more nuts and bolts things that we could do. And the therapist is there with empathy and with skills and support as well. Right.
So support is more not so much like encouraging someone. It's nuts and bolts. It's doing. It's maybe making a meal if they're going to be out late, or helping with folks like that. Okay.
Yeah. And empathy can be supportive.
Right. Those are synonymous as well. So when someone's family member is going to counseling or therapy of any kind, is the family in therapy too?
This feels like a little bit of a tricky question. I'm going to answer it as a person who does systems therapy. And we'll think about it like science. That anytime you change one part of the system, so a person's going to therapy, it's inherently going to change things within the family as well. So the person's going, they're doing their own individual work and they're working on their goals, but they're shifting and changing, and they're going to bring those changes to their family or their friends and the people that are around them. So the family may not necessarily be in therapy, but it'll change people.
Right, and that's its own dynamic. I would imagine that, you know, well, my sister, my brother, my best friend is going to I'm sure they're talking about me. That's that sort of feeling like, you know, just because your friend or whomever is in therapy, it's not about you.
Right.
What do mental health counselors provide their clients? Are they strategies? Are they suggestions? And does this always work?
It's all of the above. It's a space where people can talk freely about things without judgment, and talk about whether or not they're interested in some skills, or maybe it's education and learning more about what might be affecting them. And ultimately, we see people for an hour a week. And so the hard work does happen outside of our office. That hour we can talk about how their week went, but we're not miracle workers. It's like we don't have a magic wand. It is work. It is work,
yes. Yes, you don't go to therapy. Unlike the broken leg scenario, you don't go there and like, voila, you're all set. You're going to get along with your mother great now.
I wish I had that kind of magic, but it's hard work, and it's sometimes can take time.
Well, thank you very much, Denise. We got through it. We had our 13 minutes therapy session here. Thank you very much for joining me today. I want to thank everyone here behind the scenes at WCX who helped make our visits possible. And as always, thank you for stopping by Across the Fence.